Greetings, Upstanders. Dr. O here. And so I've been thinking a lot about the exchange with Trump and Yamiche Alcindor over the weekend. And I'm not going to play it here because it's circulated enough. And I don't need to add black woman being demeaned or anybody being demeaned like that to this particular feed right now. But it's been something that's been really frustrating on many levels. To be quite honest, full disclosure, um, Yamiche and I both are Georgetown alum. We are both members of the Patrick Healy Fellows from Georgetown University as well. So I've known Yamiche since the mid 2000s, something to that extent. Someone who's always had such class and such, I mean, just she has more credibility and integrity in her pinky than Donald Trump has in his entire body. And so, yeah, it was frustrating on that level to see that. It was also frustrating to see how just ignorant this man felt that he could be in terms of bringing out, calling her darling, telling her to be quiet, calling her, second rate. And I know people who are watching like, oh, I know that would have been me, blah blah blah. You don't know, especially in that line of work as journalists, as reporters, and so on and so forth. One of the first things that you learn as a journalist is to not make yourself the story, right? So that's neither here nor there. My bigger issue is the lack of response and condemnation that I'm seeing from society in general. I haven't watched every news network, but most of the responses that I've seen has come from other black people, male and female, and that's the most of what I've seen. I don't know if MSNBC has put out a statement or NBC or National Organization of Women because of the just blatant disrespect and misogyny that was exhibited towards there, but a lack of response is part of the problem. A lack of response is part of the problem. This makes not responding makes everything that Trump did to Yamiche acceptable, and we can't accept that. We can't accept the racism. We can't accept the misogyny. We can't expect the blatant condemnation. Yamiche has a son. He goes online. He has to see the president telling his mother to be quiet. Like that's just cool. Basically saying know your place. How many of us would take that from our bosses? How many people, would sit there and not only do that, but have to endure it on a national level while with everybody watching? That's why, Yamiche is somebody of incredible class and just an incredible person overall. Anybody who's ever known her in any way, shape, or form knows that she's always somebody who's carried herself with class and dignity and just does her job straight up. And so, but the rest of us, the country, when are we going to shut this down? When are we going to demand respect for each other? When are we going to demand respect for women? When are we going to demand respect? When I see what happened with her, and I think about the over 300,000 black women that are gone from the workforce, and I think that this intentional attack on what has been called the 92% of people voted for Kamala in largest numbers, which is black women. I think of black women, the dean of the LSU Law School, first black woman dean of the LSU Law School, having to resign as well. I think of Claudine Gay from Harvard University, where black women disproportionately are the highest educated group in this country, and there's just a continued attack on them. Yes, other groups are being attacked, and that on this channel we talk about all of that, but I'm talking specifically about this. And so what Trump was doing with that attack was it was like a culmination of or it was just really indicative of the assault on black women in this country right now, and he did that proudly. And people have to say enough. This is over at the Museum of the Bible. He was making a comment about how crime is down and said something to the effect of, people are going to do anything to hurt my crime numbers. Even if there's like a little fight, at home with a wife and a husband, they're going to call the police just to mess up my numbers and keep crime. That's domestic violence. That's not, hey, you left the toilet seat up, you're a terrible guy, and people debate over that. That's a debate. That's an issue. It's not like, oh, you rooted for the wrong sports team. Why did I marry you? Like, it's not that. If there's a fight, if there's a call, that's domestic violence. But this man is a misogynist to his core. This is all happening at the same time that E. Jean Carroll's verdict has been upheld. Still hasn't paid that out. But this attack on Yamiche in particular was particularly vitriolic and particularly disrespectful. And it's been great to see how everyone has reached out and expressed their outrage. But we need more. This is stand up to bully time. And when people stand up to Trump, he backs down. That's why people came up with Taco. Trump always chickens out as it relates to his other policies and the like. When he's confronted, he backs down. But too many of us are normalizing this disrespect. Too many of us are normalizing the vitriol. Too many are and watching it be replicated in other spaces and places. I forget who it was after Trump won, but the comments that this person had for Letitia James, and all this, we're gonna do this to your fat ass, and all this other type of stuff that was said, like all of these things that people just feel comfortable just saying and just putting out there, and they're not being challenged. And I don't know if these guys have wives or daughters, outside of Trump, we know his family, whatever, wives or daughters or mothers or grandmothers who are watching this stuff happen, but it is happening. And more of it's going to happen. And we need to shut it down, because we can't let something like what happened to Yamiche be normalized. And we can't let what's happening to women in general in this country be normalized. But this is a man who feels completely emboldened to get out there and disrespect her like that. And I appreciate, I saw Roland talk about it. NABJ put out a statement as well. But more people need to stand up. More people need to stand up. And the fact of the matter is, when that doesn't happen, more people feel like they can get comfortable in dealing with this. And so, Yamiche, more power and respect and props to you. You're the best at this, and we all know it. But the rest of us, enough is enough. And if enough's not going to be enough now, just get used to more of the disrespect and vitriol. And when it comes your way, don't expect anybody to have your back, because there's going to be nobody left. And that's why we got to challenge and speak up on this right now. Let me know what you all think. Peace.